All right, Sunday afternoon, did all my chores, went up to the garage looking for some parts. Apparently I don't have some stuff. But what I did find was, I grabbed the box of wires, so from all my Mega Squirt installs, Mega and Micro. I got all these extra little coils of, miscellaneous harness wire, injector wire. I even got like coils of shielded stuff. Little goofy loom, toss that in there. Water nut, found water nut gasket. A couple cam sensor, which I know I'm gonna have to splice into. A couple little things here and there. Honestly, nothing really too exciting. Part 3. I'm gonna do the whole engine harness and figure out what we need, clean up harness. It should be completely done, turnkey, ready to run by the end of this. And then the following things will be like fitting the AC and all that little crap. So I got a little carried away and didn't record any of this stuff and just kind of like went gung-ho on it. So everything's laid over. The factory harness is semi-plugged in. So the Mega Squirt has enough things plugged in, I think. I'm not too sure. Then I jumped the wires for the starter or the fuel pump. So I'm gonna try to start the car. Hopefully it starts and runs on its own, and then I go in there and check RPM signal and oil pressure. Okay, so this might be the hard part. Is I don't know if the fuel pump is actually gonna run, considering I think you need a lot of input. But anyway. I think that was purely on the priming pulse. So let's see if I can start it and then run over there and see if I have RPM signal. Nope. I wonder why. Maybe it needs cam signal in order to do that. Here's the real question is, will this plug into mine? I don't think I actually need a cam signal to run it. So. Oh, it's got oil pressure. Let me jump some wires from the cam signal here. And actually, let's unplug the cam signal and see if unplug the cam signal and see if the truck will start and run. And if it does, then I can jump the wires to the tach cam trigger. So hold on. Okay, so my cam signal for this motor is not plugged in. So it will run without that cam signal. So, okay, so I jumped the fuel pump. I have the ignition forward. The cam sensor plugged into that forward one. So, take a while to start this though. Hold on. Woo! It fucking runs. It fucking works. Okay.
they're gonna set you, is there a way that I can set you up in here?
All right, there we go. All right, let's try this again. So this is kind of where I left it yesterday after I started it and made sure everything worked. So now I'm just gonna take everything off. I also need to figure out where to mount that thing and how I'm gonna do some wiring. After reading and watching some, or listening to some podcasts from real tuners, some like the Mech Man or Mechanical Man, no, Mech Man alternators, and them talking about noise stuff, and Scott Clark always preaching about noise stuff. I think I'm going to run an independent ground and a large gauge ground and power from the battery all the way forward just to the alternator and the alternator and a block. I think. I don't know. We're still up in arms. I ordered a throttle body, so we'll take that intake elbow off and put a stock style throttle body on it, which I'm sure will bring its own grouping of problems. So it's kind of where we're at right now. Okay, so quickly, I talked about how it's gonna be a pain in the ass to mount that thing. So I took one of the old side brackets for holding the dash up and notched it and then bent it. So it's actually gonna sit on, I don't know if you can even see in there. Yeah, right there is a stud. So actually it will sit on one of these studs, and then I'm gonna rivet it to the lower bracket that sits on the bottom of this. So this actually might work out. All right, so the MS3 board or whatever is all taken apart. It's gonna be kind of, it's gonna look a little shitty. Slicing that puppy up and trying to reuse a bunch of stuff when maybe I should be trying to use this harness. I'm not too sure. I might get some more length out of it. Actually, it's probably about the same length. It's close to about the same length. Well, whatever. So where I'm gonna put it is right in here. And, well, there you go. Right here is where I originally put it back in the day when I first put this car together. And then we'll run that Dutch Works or whatever those things are called, bulkhead right through here, and plug up the other one or use both if necessary. All right, well, that's where it's gonna go. All right, Saturday morning. Today is a wiring day, so all right, we're a few hours in. This is like the most tedious stuff in the world. Anyway, so the harness has been extended and soldered. This will be the connector that has all my analog inputs, so all the sensors. And I made a plate that went over the holes there, where the water inlet and outlet went. So that'll be kind of clean looking, and I'll still can use these Dutch Works bulkhead things. I think where did it go? You silly little hoe. There it is. I think this is what I'm going to use for my fuse panel. And And I know it's gonna look kind of stupid, but I might make something and just stick it right there. And put the kind of fuses in there that light up when they pop, so I can make it easy to change. Everything's kind of centrally located right there to the dash. It'll be easy. I think that's what we're gonna do. Actually, that is what we're gonna do. And then I'll return those other two to O'Reilly's because they're like 15 bucks a piece, which is just stupid. I got another pre-molded hose, which is also fucking stupid expensive. So I guess I really don't know. Plumbing this thing's gonna be a flipping nightmare. Maybe I should just leave the AM lines and then just push them over. Who knows? That's something to figure out later. All right, so I don't know if you can hear me over this rain. It's really coming down, but so this is what I used a bunch of the scraps from the circuit board, control board thing to make this thing that, double check that it even works in here. Oh, can we see any? All right, so basically this thing I'll just bolt it in here. And it kind of just barely fits. Maybe we'll notch that corner or something. And then I'll mount the 8/8 box to this thing. And then screw it onto there and I'm good to go. So that kind of works. The harness will be kind of up high enough where it's not in the way of getting kicked, but it's easily accessible. So, problem solved. All right, tonight's project's about over. So I figured out, well, I didn't really figure out, I just built a way that we're gonna mount this thing. So the 8/8 controller will go in here. There's a very small amount of room up here to get these EGT probes in there. I'll probably have to plug them in and then place the box in there, which is fine. But it leaves more room for the analog things that might actually change more often. And honestly, if one of these EGTs burn up, it's gonna be such a pain in the ass to change it. I'll probably just ignore it. Who knows? Anyway, so as in you can see the picture, I built that little bracket and used a soldering iron to kind of weld all those little things together. This stuff is super sturdy. Honestly, I should buy some more of it because it's kind of handy to have around. But yeah, once the lower dash thing's on, you won't see any of this stuff. And then put a relay there that goes to the battery stud that's up in there. I didn't take much video of me making this thing, but basically this will go in the back of the car and then plug into the pump and the rear wheel speed sensor. I'll mount this on the back of the battery box. That'll go to positive. And then this will plug into the factory harness for the fuel level sender and my primary pump, and then the secondary pump, wheel speed, and some other stuff will come through that. So it looks pretty clean. I'm happy. All right, so I'm taking apart the fan harness to figure out kind of how it works, because the Mega Squirt uses a ground side control, which, come to find out, this is a ground side control, so that works perfect. Okay, so the fan harness is all taken care of. I found out it is ground side controlled through like a complicated switching of like multiple relays. That's not really complicated, just only single pole sides. Anyway, so I finished this harness. I found out it was ground side controlled, so I put a connector on the two ground sides. The ECM will control those and control that relay that controls these two relays that control the fan. So, all right, so I got the fan harness in and grounded, and the boost control harness made, and the fan control harness made. What else was that? Oh, part of the wheel speed. So all that stuff over there is done for what I am thinking is done. And instead of running it through the car, because I have to poke a hole in the grommet, fish it through, I'm just gonna run it here in the cowl. Do some zip ties or something to keep that out of the way of the washer arms. It's a continuous wire, so there's really nowhere for water to get in and create shorts. And then it comes in and goes down through the firewall, through the existing hole in the grommet. Whoever the harness that this came out of The donor car harness that came out, he must have had subs because they drilled right through the grommet. So there's a perfect hole there. And then all of this is tidied up and done. It sure doesn't look like it, but these wires here will go into these two connectors. Actually, I take that back. They will go into this connector and the other wheel speed and whatnot, that connector and the other wheel speed and whatnot. All right, so I've been pretty bad about documenting all the wiring stuff. So here's my little VR conditioner. So this one is like a was it JB Tech or something? JB Performance. Whatever. It's a dual VR conditioner. So I'll have a male and female, and it'll kind of just plug in the line of everything, so it converts it to a one wire frequency, because Mega Squirt doesn't have enough VR and outs besides, you know, the crank and cam. So all right, so it's all done. The 8 boxes in. The relays are kind of messy, but it is what it is. I still got to get a wire tap to tap into the switch to ignition, and then figure out the dash lights. But that's about it. So like I said, like, subscribe, comment.